Joyce, we are live here on Awards Magnet talking about the SAG Awards. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Singh. How's it going, Joyce?
We're fashionably late, which, everyone was cool with,
Seemed
obviously.
great. The chat was
Yeah.
popping off. I
Yeah.
apologize. That was my fault for being late, Joyce, if you were
Well,
patiently waiting for the live stream.
and also, you know, we have other stuff to do in our jobs. So,
And I was just, I honestly had to pick myself up off the floor from these SAG Award nominations, Joyce. We're going to start with the film side of things and then go to TV later, which I know you're psyched about, the TV thing.
the most important, actually.
So we'll save the best for last. But we're going to start with film, which were hilarious in the best way possible, I would say.
And so SAG.
Wicked led with 5 nominations, tied a record for SAG nominations, including Stunt Ensemble and Jonathan Bailey in Supporting Actor, which is hilarious because we talked about this, I think, after the Nomcom screening that you went to. I was like, I should put Jonathan Bailey in. Never did it. Now I feel like a schmuck because he would have been a great nominee, and he is.
Is this like a ding on me? Because like I actually went to a nomcom screening in November, and like when I got there, that line outside, like they hadn't let people in yet. It was like down. I mean, you know where the DJ theater is in Manhattan.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it was like down to the corner, that line,
Yes.
for the nomcom members trying to get in there.
We don't need to go back in time, but I
No.
recall after that screening, we both I was like, I immediately put it in when you were telling about it because Wicked was still not being predicted as an ensemble nominee. Now here we
Well,
are.
because that was also before the movie had actually opened.
Yes.
So, but also Jonathan Bailey, triple nominee.
Yes, because
'Cause,
Bridgerton is
Bridgerton
a
got
nominee
into
also,
ensemble.
which we'll
So-
talk about later, but hilarious, and Nicola Coughlan getting into for Bridgerton, which was a total shock, I would say. So Wicked with 5 nominations. A complete unknown choice, 4 nominations. Monica Barbaro showing up as an individual nominee alongside Ed Norton and Timothée Chalamet and the ensemble, so not a slight overperform there, because I think most people expected the other 3.
Yes. And I mean, we knew that like ACU could do well here, and it did. We both had it in ensemble. We dropped the wrong film from ensemble, though. We both dropped Anora. I don't know if you've changed since then because we recorded our SAG predictions like
I never
2
did.
weeks ago.
I never went back to Enora, which
but
was sad.
they snubbed Sing Sing.
So
Which-
I guess I'd say for me the biggest. We could talk about what was nominated and then what this means, obviously, for the Oscars. But in terms of what was snubbed, I think that is the biggest, most headline-grabbing thing. Sing Sing being snubbed in ensemble, and for Clarence Macklin as an individual nominee. We were, at least I was of the mind that like great, a clear SAG ensemble potential winner, right? And now it's not even here. Its best path to a Best Picture nomination was the actors embracing this film. So now that it's not here, that seems like a bad sign.
Yeah, so the ensemble nominees are A Complete Unknown, Anora,
Yes.
Conclave, Emilia, Perez, and Wicked.
Correct.
So a nice lineup here, and yeah, Sing Sing only got in for Coleman Domingo, which if you talk to anybody in like June before the movie opened, no one would have guessed this. Everyone would have been like, it's winning ensemble, like Coleman could win, like Clarence would get in. I actually dropped Clarence yesterday for Jeremy Strong. But yeah, it's just solo Coleman now. So this is not great, Bob, for Sing Sing off the back of doing poorly at Globes, like missing picture at the Globes.
So
and
it's
also Clarence there.
And it missed, obviously, BAFTA long list. Clarence got on the BAFTA long list, but potentially as a jury save.
Yes.
And it missed other big nominations there, including picture, right? So, like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel like... It just feels like the path for this movie to get into Best Picture is still there, and I think it could maybe gets a PGA nomination later this week, and we're like, okay. But this was a tough blow, I would say, for Team Sing
Yeah,
Sing.
it's not great, especially if you're trying to, or if you're someone who believed that it could still be the coda of
Yeah.
the year somehow,
I was at the National Board of Review Gala dinner last night, Joyce.
You were.
And the first award of the night was Sing Sing for screenplay, lovely thing. And Craig Melvin, who is the Today Show host, did
Yes.
the intro, and he gave this great effusive speech about the movie, and he brought up Clarence Macklin and the character that Coleman plays, the real life person that Coleman plays in the film, as well, and who's also in Sing Sing. And one of the things that Craig Melvin said that made me at least raise an eyebrow was he's like, it's been embraced by millions of people around the world. And I'm like, has it though? It's really It's still
You texted that to me last night.
it just is not widely seen, unfortunately.
Well, facts don't matter. Even though he's a news guy, Craig. But it's interesting because it is a feel good movie. It is a crowd pleaser, but there's been no crowd
It's
because
tough,
the
right?
the
Yeah.
rollout has been just shoddy like since the summer, and then we've been saying through the fall that like they could have a resurgence, in late fall and the winter, and we thought that was happening because they started doing more screenings in late fall, and then they dated the re-release for January 17th, the day of the Oscar nominations. So it's almost
Yes.
like they're banking on the Best Picture nomination
But
for the
now it might
release, but now it might not even get in to Best Picture.
Coleman and adapted screenplay feel like the best bets now, right?
Yeah.
And the picture lower down, though I still actually don't know what I will replace Sing Sing with in my best picture lineup. I had it in 10th. Now I'm trying to figure
I
out what
had
I
it
end
in
up
10th
doing.
too.
But I
So
don't know.
I don't
And
know.
Enora, you mentioned there, Joyce. So now we both had abandoned Enora, my beloved Enora. Not even because of the Globes. I just felt like it's not a movie that even though it is probably the best ensemble of this group, no disrespect to these other nominees, it works so perfectly as an ensemble piece. And it shows up here, and even more importantly to me, Yuri Borisov getting in for supporting actor, who was not in the top five in the odds. I don't think either one of us had him in, unless you put him back in. I didn't have him in my picks, and he shows up there in supporting actor, which to me means that the acting branch has definitely seen this film, embraced this film, and appreciates this film, which I think is a great sign for its potential as maybe even a potential winner here and behind Wicked. I mean, I'm sure most people have Wicked probably winning, but is like the enthusiasm for Nora, does it actually pull off the Parasite-esque ensemble win that like people maybe were banking on even before the Globes and stuff?
No, because I mean it could win, but like not because it'll be like Parasite. Like Parasite was a phenomenon. Like Nora is not that. But it is great to see it in because I think it is arguably the most ensemble of these films.
Yeah, we've talked about it. It really
Like
does
it's
work as an ensemble.
Yeah, like even though like you think ostensibly it's just about Annie and like sure the first act is just her and Yvonne, but then it really becomes an ensemble piece, and even like more so in a lot of ways than Conclave, which is just really kind of like Ray Fiennes like talking to certain people
Right.
like in secret rooms most of the time. And then obviously, like A Complete Unknown is like mostly Bob
Right. So
and Emilia Perez. It's like they're such a small cast and it's like so segmented. And Wicked, you know, great characters and performances, but obviously really focused on Elphaba and Glinda. So
yeah,
um, this is a good like get for Honora after the Globes shutout, and really like it's essential for its path to win Best Picture now because the movies that have been shut out at the Globes, like The Hurt Locker and Spotlight, they've all recovered at uh, SAG. Like Hurt Locker didn't win SAG, but it got nominated there, and Jeremy
correct.
Renner got nominated. And that's more like that's like a tech film too. Like it's a flashy war drama, and it won PJ and DGA. But like Spotlight won SAG Ensemble,
Yeah.
you know.
I,
So
I,
and
I
same thing with
was.
Coda. Coda was
Yep.
blanked at Globes, and it started its surge at SAG, winning Ensemble. So I don't know if Honora will win Ensemble, but it needed this to stay in the mix after the shutout on Sunday. And then with Yura getting in, yeah, I don't think most people had him getting in just because he was unknown, and even if you kept him for the Oscars. But I think what these nominees showed overall is just the alphabet bias that SAG has, which has been evident in previous years, but I think is really clear this year. Like their ballot is not, it's just alphabetical A to Z. They really need to copy the Emmys that to make half their ballots reverse alphabetical, like Z to A. Because if you look at the individual nominees, most of them, their last names from the first half of the alphabet.
Do you really
The
think this
only
is a thing? This is
Yes, it's
great.
a thing.
Okay.
If you look
Okay.
at
No, I know you're
like
right. I mean, but like based
if
on
you
the
look at previous years,
alphabet.
this is something I've been tracking for years, guys.
Okay.
But and I'm sure other people have noticed this too. But if you look at the individual nominees, like Zoe Saldana and Jeremy Strong are the only people whose surnames come from the second half of the alphabet. Like everyone else,
Yeah.
like Pamela Anderson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Yura Borisov,
So do you think
Monica
that,
Barbaro.
I mean, but do you think like so like we'll go through these individual categories here, but like in supporting actor, so I had Guy Pearce out. I just felt like Brutalist would not do well with SAG. I didn't think that they probably were gonna. It just is not the kind of movie I felt like that SAG would widely embrace. So I had Felicity Jones out. I had like Guy out, and I didn't have it in for ensemble. But do you think that's why, like Denzel Washington? Do you think that's why he missed because of the alphabet bias?
Yeah, I think I mean, like laziness too. Like
Okay.
I think we all felt like Denzel should be safe at SAG because he's so it's Denzel. Like he's a legend. He's so popular and populist. And Gladiator is a popcorn movie as well. Like we know it's seen, but like they could have just been like the nom-com could have just been completely lazy. Like his name starts with a W.
I would say I like some of. I'm not gonna totally discount this. I think it's not. I just feel like Denzel. They don't need to worry. Like he's Denzel. It's like people know him. They're not gonna not remember him. So I felt like him missing here. We had talked about this. He made the BAFTA long list, and maybe we'll get nominated at BAFTA. Who knows? But he's never been nominated at BAFTA. And like you were saying, like previously, if he misses at SAG, that's maybe a bad sign. And
Yeah,
just
like
feels
I've always said, like if he makes SAG, then I would be concerned. So now I'm concerned, but like because his thing is like if he makes Globes and SAG, he is locked for the
Right.
nomination. The only time he has missed when he's in like the conversation was for American Gangster,
Yeah.
and he missed SAG there. Like he got the Globe nomination there,
I-
but ever since then, like he like Flight, like Roman J. Israel,
Right.
Like, he got in at SAG for those.
The thing I think with Denzel, and I've been thinking of this too, in terms of like when I was thinking about if he would miss at SAG, and I didn't predict the snub, but I almost thought about it, and I was like, I just think there's no enthusiasm for the movie, and like I think even if he is like people like him in the movie, which they do obviously, and I think most people would say he's the best part of Gladiator 2. It's not like your favorite. I think there's other performances. Just there's more enthusiasm for these other performances, including like Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice, who maybe is the lone nominee here, and maybe Sebastian Stan just misses at the Oscars because he continues perhaps to split
Well,
his
Daniel
own vote.
Craig got in, so I'm just like that. This is just probably the 5 once again.
Yeah, it feels
So-
like with Craig getting in, especially for a movie that we all thought SAG would like not be into, certainly.
Yeah.
That Sebastian Stan, if he had the one movie, maybe would be here, but the two are really hurting him. And even though he is admirably tried to consolidate support around The Apprentice, including in his acceptance speech for A Different Man, I think it might be. I guess we'll see at BAFTA maybe. I mean, like we said, Apprentice overperformed with the BAFTA long list, so
But they
it's
have 6
possible
spots, so
he could get
it's
in
like
with 6 slots with
he and
Craig.
Daniel would get
We'll
in.
both get in, and then he misses. But yeah, Denzel, I'm ready to drop too because I've been trying to figure out how to fit that. There's like 7 guys basically for 5 spots, right? For
Yes.
supporting actor.
Well, we talked about this on Sunday and how because that was also the first time we've talked since BAFTA
Yes.
long list, and I was like, The Apprentice having such a good showing on the long list
Right.
really complicated supporting actor because like Jeremy is in the mix now.
Yeah, and now I think this maybe uncomplicates a little bit because I think while Guy Pearce missed here at SAG,
I think he'll get in.
He'll be
at
in because I think
Oscars.
he'll definitely get in at BAFTA, and I think like it's just I don't think the movie was a SAG.
No,
movie.
this is like Guy Pearce missing here is like Mark Ruffalo missing last year. Another example of the alphabet. Last year, Mark Ruffalo R missed while William Dafoe D got in.
Mm-hmm.
So
What else do we see? Supporting actors, Joyce. So you mentioned Conclave is like the Rafe show. No Isabella Rossellini and no
Well,
Margaret Qualley.
we expected Isabella to miss here, and I think she's still fine for the Oscar nomination. Like she's probably third there, but I don't think she was like really a strong possibility here, so that's not surprising. I did have Margaret Qualley in, but she missed here too. But also Q, missing for a B, and so I don't know. Like with the Complete Unknown ladies, I don't know if they're like splitting their vote in any way. Like it's like weird because like it's such a late movie, so it's like it feels like it doesn't have time to build up momentum for either of them, like her or Elle Fanning, who is the MBR winner for supporting actress. And Monica has had more mentions with like regional critics. Like she hasn't won anything else, but uh, like she's got nominations more so than Elle has. Like Elle just has like MBR,
Right.
and now Monica has the SAG nomination. But she like maybe she's just a SAG thing.
I don't know. It's tough because she's so great. Obviously, she was one of the standout things in the movie. I think one of the standout parts of the movie is her as Joan Baez. I think people were very enthusiastic about that. Even people who are lighter on the movie than maybe me or SAG non-com members. Which am I a SAG non-com member, Joyce, based on this list of nominees? Because I feel like I could be in disguise. I don't even know.
Well,
These are all my faves.
Honora and A Complete Unknown got in.
That's
I
like-
mean, like why didn't you get Zendaya a nomination or Josh
I don't know.
O'Connor?
I don't know. But yeah, I was like, and obviously, Danielle Deadweiler was here too, which I think was if she was going to continue to be in the conversation, she absolutely needed this nomination, and so she got that nomination, and now she's still in the conversation. Though whether she actually converts that into an Oscar nomination, I'm dubious of. But it was great to see her show up here.
Yeah, I've long dropped her from my Oscar
Yes.
lineup, but I always expected her here, and yes, like had she missed here, it would have been like dead. But you know, she is still afloat. She has a lifeline here, but I'm not gonna put her in at the Oscars. She did what Angelina Jolie did not do.
We'll get to that in a second. Best Actress is just it was a great showing as well. But so Danielle in. I also I actually put all of these people in, so I got kind of cleaned out because I had Isabella Rossellini in and Selena Gomez because I just thought they would go crazy for Emilia Perez as well, and they did to an extent. It got the ensemble nomination in Carla and Zoe, but not Selena, who has still never received an individual SAG nomination. So maybe that's just a sign of her weakness with this branch or guild.
Yeah, and it shows the weakness of the nom-com at least. Like we don't know how the entirety of SAG-AFTRA, which is 160,000 people, feel about Emilia Perez, but like I think some people have Selena out of their Oscar lineup because like she's obviously going to be a coattail anyway.
Right.
So and then it's like it depends on like how strong like Emilia is, and like if the people who are voting for Zoe would also vote for her.
Yeah.
It's like because like she's not like she hasn't been a consistent like number two to Zoe anywhere really except for the Globes.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't know. I was like, and then I guess, yeah, Monica maybe it's still like I'm still gonna go like I feel like Margaret Qualley and Selena Gomez and probably Felicity Jones are higher up on my list than Monica Barbaro would be despite this nomination.
Oh, I saw Felicity at the Oscars. I know you've dropped her again, as you're wont to do.
Yes.
But yeah, like Guy and Felicity could still get Oscar nominations. Like it's like Brutalist just kind of didn't feel, even though I think it's not as like remote and cold as like I think people want it to be or think it is, like Power of the Dog, like which did get multiple individual nominations. Like I think like the two of them could still get in at the Oscars, and yeah, like it kind of felt like at the Oscars it's like either Margaret or like Selena for the fifth spot. I think that's like still the case. Like I'm not like rushing to put in Monica or Jamie Lee Curtis.
So Jamie Lee was, I would say, a Halo nomination after her win for Everything Everywhere, and just a beloved figure in the industry. So she's here with a double nominated Last Showgirl.
She's such a cheerleader. She just has such a chokehold on her peers.
I mean, yeah. And I got to say, it's like, of all the shocking and totally unexpected nominations we've seen, I'm into this one because she's actually really great in the movie. I actually think she's almost better in this movie than she was in Everything Everywhere, but that's maybe just my preference. But I greatly enjoyed her in Last Showgirl. I thought she's an absolute hoot. So it was cool to see her show up here as a nominee. And then for Best Actress choice, like we're saying, we're kind of walking around. Angelina Jolie now, in the less than a week, Miss BAFTA long list, loses Golden Globe, misses SAG nomination. I'm just like, that feels like
that's
tough
like,
to rebound.
I was going to say DOA, but it's not even a rival.
I mean, I guess if you were holding out hope for Angelina Jolie to get a Best Actress Oscar nomination, the play is like Kristen Stewart for Spencer, which is obviously a Pablo Larraín movie as well. But like we've said,
it's not the same.
She had way more regional critics and critic support and was a beloved, obvious number one vote getter, right? And like this feels like it's a tweener where I don't think there's room, but that means I think the other four here are pretty much locked in at the Oscars, at least in my estimation, which is Cynthia Erivo, Mikey Madison, Carlos Gascon, and Demi Moore. So then who is the fifth slot? Which international actress or Nicole Kidman will pop ahead of Jolie then, if you're kind of filling out your Oscar ballot?
I think most people would keep the top four in there. I wouldn't be surprised if only like three of the four make it, but it's like if you want to go with like the odds, like the four is the safest. Like I thought about dropping Angie yesterday when I was updating, but I was like, I just don't know who to replace her with because everyone else just felt so weak, like Nicole too, you know. And then like I never thought Marianne Jean-Baptiste or Fernanda Torres were getting in here.
I almost dropped her, and I almost was going to put in Kate Winslet for Lee.
I thought about Kate, but I was like, Lee was more of a hit in quotes in the UK than here, and
Yes.
like she is campaigning a lot, but I don't know. Like I did see Pam's name in there, but I didn't do it. And then,
In hindsight,
yeah.
it obviously makes a lot of sense because she's like a veteran actor, done good with the comeback, and like
It's
know,
like
it's something you want to embrace.
the same narrative as Demi too.
It is a little bit, and it's like she's shown up here at the Globes and the Gotham Awards, and now here. I don't think she's gonna make it all the way to the Oscars, but I guess anything is possible. I mean, if there's enough passion behind her in the film, why not, right? She's been great. I think her campaigning has been also very good. Like she's been like really great in doing a bunch of interviews and like kind of putting a lot of visibility on the movie, and obviously has Jamie Lee Curtis as, like you said, like #1 cheerleader of like her castmates, like we saw previously in The Bear and Everything Everywhere and all these other things. So it doesn't hurt to have that person in your corner, I would say, as well.
Yeah, and like the whole narrative, or not even narrative, but just the story of how she got this role is so good too. Like she got the script like through her son because her agent didn't want to send it to her. Like Gia Coppola sent it to her agent, and then her agent like this is why you can't, like, if you think like actors like did or did not do something, you can't assume it's what the actors did or said or believe. Like it could just be like their people, you know, being like the stop sign in between them, and like the talent have no idea. So she never got the script, and Gia like contacted her son and was like, I have the script for Pam and I can't reach her, and her son gave the script to her, and that's how she got it, and now she has a new agent. So like that's a great story, you know.
No,
it
is. I mean, it's a great comeback, and she's great in the movie. I think it's like a really great thing, and I'm excited to see that she's nominated here. I guess I don't know, like when we're talking about like what will copy paste over to the Oscars choice. I think of the individual categories, of the four categories, I feel like Best Supporting Actor feels like the most. I mean, sorry, Best Actor, excuse me, feels like the most likely to just copy paste over
once
right?
again.
5 for 5. The other ones, I don't think will. I don't know. I mean, I doubt any of these other ones will copy paste over. But if I had to rank which ones I think would, it would be actress, because I just think, and like the top four feel like safe, and then you're talking about Pamela Anderson versus Fernanda Torres or Marianne Jean-Baptiste for that last spot. And while I think there's a great amount of international support likely for Fernanda Torres, though she missed BAFTA long list, and Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who could maybe win BAFTA, or at least hopefully get nominated. Maybe Pamela Anderson. It's a, like Bong Joon-ho once said, Joyce. It's a local event, and maybe Pamela Anderson among these local talent would be.
And you know what? Las Vegas
embraced.
is close to Vegas. You know.
I don't know. I was just like, I think I was like, I wouldn't. I don't know if I'll predict that, but I'm like, man, I could see it happening. Like, I could really see her getting an Oscar nomination. I think it would be like pretty cool too.
I think, yeah. Pam is. She was the only Globe drama nominee to get in here. Yeah.
Yes. So,
so
she could. Be
and
the
I think
one.
like no one thought it would be her. Like people,
No.
I think most people thought that she would be like Globes only, basically. You know. So, but I do think like this is like such a great booster shot for her, and obviously JLC is gonna pick up the campaigning. So. I mean, yesterday she's campaigning on behalf of Fernanda too. Like she watched I'm Still Here.
Yes.
She called it a masterpiece. So
if I had I mean, like, no disrespect to Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who I think is obviously a GOAT. If I had to rank these, I would put probably Fernanda, and then Pam, and then Marianne, and then Nicole and Angie lower than that. I still think like Fernanda probably has the edge, even though she doesn't have a lot of. She can't get the BAFTA nomination and stuff. I don't know. I just feel like that is like a passion number one pick to me. Maybe more so than the others, even.
Yeah, that's assuming like maybe like more than two of those fringe people could get in. Like this is just assuming the
top four. The top four. If you,
make it.
Who would you say who would you if you were going to predict a snub in the top four? Who would you?
Well,
predict?
like we discussed on Sunday, like probably Cynthia.
Yeah,
I could see like Carla missing too, but I don't know. Like I think like Mikey and Demi are safe.
I was at the MBR Awards, Joyce, which might as well have been the Wicked show because it won
awards.
The Wicked Awards. It won 3 individual awards. It basically just dominated the whole last 45 minutes of the show were just about Wicked. Man, they had Ryan Reynolds come out and do like Best Picture as like a tribute, and I just the way everyone spoke about Cynthia Erivo with such like awe.
Today's
honestly,
her birthday too. Happy birthday, Cynthia.
I would just be shocked if she got snubbed. I mean, obviously anything is possible, and like we've talked about, like maybe she's like Margot Robbie or whatever. But I actually think there's way more passion around her than there ever was for Margot Robbie, for Barbie, and I just think people like actually like are like they're obsessed with her. I don't know. It was just Ryan Reynolds was just like effusive in his praise. Now, not that Ryan Reynolds means anything here or there.
Who wrote his speech?
I'm sure he did. It had his quips. It had his usual quips. He's a writer.
Well,
Joyce,
like he did a pass, just like he did with the It Ends With Us script. So
yeah. No Justin Baldoni references by Ryan Reynolds, and he. So Joyce, looking at this, if we're not gonna do our SAG winner picks here, but I just want to like get your temperature. What are you like? In the chat, a lot of people are like, Wicked's winning, Ariana Grande's winning, or Adrien Brody's winning. What are you expecting here? How about do you think Adrien Brody can still win this, or is the strength of A Complete Unknown potentially put Chalamet ahead?
Well, we talked about this on Sunday too. Like Adrien is probably the most vulnerable here. Like he could still win the Oscar if he loses this SAG. So yes. So I don't think it really matters if he wins or loses this. I think you would. Like, I think before today, I think, most people had, like, Sing Sing getting ensemble. So I think most people would say that, like, Coleman is a threat too. And obviously he could still win even as a lone nominee here because he's so beloved. But, like, I think, like, the ACU overperformance, like, at least on paper, makes Timmy look good right now. I'm sure Club Chalamet is thrilled. I haven't checked.
I haven't checked either.
She had to evacuate last night because of the wildfires too. So
you know me, I'm gonna probably pick Timmy because I just think it's like he just feels like a SAG winner. I could just imagine it playing out like that, and I feel like, and I also feel like this will end up maybe this is this year's Lily Gladstone versus Emma Stone type race where it's like, SAG goes for the narrative or the biopic or whatever in this case, and then Adrien Brody wins BAFTA and then wins the Oscar, that kind of thing.
Well, BAFTA's first.
Right.
So.
Well, he'll win BAFTA, and then Timothée Chalamet wins SAG, and then Brody wins the Oscar.
Yeah, so I don't think it really, I don't think Adrien needs this even for the Oscars. Or he could just sweep. I don't know. They could be super lazy.
They could. I mean, he'd be a great winner.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then for actress, I guess I would say Demi Moore probably in the front, would you say? Or maybe not? Do you think Cynthia's going to win?
I think, Demi can win. I think, she obviously looks weaker without Margaret, but I think she doesn't need Margaret either. The whole campaign for The Substance has been about Demi, and, Margaret has actually been kind of, the surprise coattail.
Yeah.
So...
Margaret is the Lakeith Stanfield to... Demi's Daniel
Kaluuya. Except Margaret has always been campaign and supporting and not lead.
But I'm saying the double nominations.
But I think if Wicked were to win an individual, I think Ariana would have a better shot just because of the after part 2, influencers, radio people.
Right. Yeah, I could see that.
And I think her, even though Elba obviously has Defying Gravity, I think the comedy of Ariana's performance, I think, appeals to more like casual fans,
Yeah. I mean,
right? It's
Ryan
like,
Reynolds said it was a performance worthy of Gene Wilder. That's the highest praise, I would say,
I mean,
last
like
night.
Kieran had to tell Ariana she killed it in Wicked, and then realized he had bad breath, and I had to go to the bathroom, pay $10 for two sticks of
Yep.
gum.
So it feels like I don't know. She could win. I mean, I think it's obviously between those two, Zoe and Ariana, and I think Cynthia has
Or
is
Zoe
definitely
could
win.
just sweep.
She
So
could, and I think Cynthia's win competitive in Best Actress, though I wouldn't be surprised if Demi Moore wins. I would say the issue for Demi Moore now, maybe if you're going on narrative and stuff, at least at this event, is that Pam Anderson, like you said, has the same narrative. So if you're like a SAG voter who's swayed by the comeback story, the actor made good story, maybe you're
and
split.
just like the metatextualness
Yeah,
of their films.
yeah, and I think Mikey is competitive too. I would say like Mikey last night, Mikey Madison at the NBR Awards won a Breakthrough Performance Award, Joyce, and she gave this really nice speech. It was like she's so I think it's so funny because Honora is so brassy, right, and like just a real broad in the movie, and Mikey Madison in real life is very I think soft spoken and mannered. She's like a lot different than the character she plays, which is acting. Joyce, that's a great sign I think to show what a great actress she is because she's nothing really like Honora in a lot of ways. But anyway, her speech was talking about the community of actors and how great she felt being embraced. And I was like, it was a fine speech. It didn't like move me or like totally shake me to the core. But throughout the night, over and over again, people kept coming back to it. I think Carol Kane mentioned. I think Liev Schreiber mentioned it when he was tributing Nicole Kidman. I think John Lithgow mentioned it again after he introduced Mikey, and then I think he. So I was like, man, like actors really they loved her messaging, and I think they really love her, and I think she's obviously got to be considered win competitive here too. Like if she won here, I would not be totally surprised.
I mean, she's still like top two. Like I
Yeah,
don't think anyone is saying like she can't win. But I think SAG like she doesn't. That's like great, great for her. Like I saw the speech, nice speech. But I think it's different delivering that speech at an untelevised event, like
yeah.
a delayed NBR dinner, than it is like Demi in a broadcast speech
Oh,
at the
I'm not.
Globes.
Yeah, I mean, to me is like
And
I'm just
and
saying.
like it's like it's just not the same thing. And it like that's not like no one's gonna, especially with real world events today, no one is gonna be like reading her speech today
No, I'm just saying like I
either.
guess I understand all that. I'm not saying like the speech would help her win, but I just think like I think there's an embrace of her in the acting community. So if she did end
Yeah,
up
but
like
I guess for me it's like I never assumed that no one liked her, or no one
I don't think
respected
no
her.
one
Like
liked
I
her,
don't
but I
think
guess
it's like that's not surprising to me that
okay,
people think
okay,
she's a great actress.
okay. I mean, it is a little to me, but frankly, because like I just haven't seen that kind of like she's not like she doesn't have like the noisy campaign that like Demi Moore has, obviously, or Cynthia Erivo. So it was nice to see last night. Anything else on the films, Joyce, before we move to television quickly?
I mean, they chose chaos in the supporting categories, which is great. So, yeah, I don't
I
know.
love it. In
Yeah,
terms
I
of
mean,
wins, I mean,
stunt ensemble is Deadpool, Dune Part Two, Fall Guy, Gladiator, and Wicked.
yes.
So those are the stunt
No Furiosa, I
nominated.
think, is the big snub there, I would say. But I guess not surprising. I hope Fall Guy wins because the whole movie's about stunts.
It's like literally about stunts.
So I think it should win.
And like how
Uh,
imagine if it doesn't win. Like that's just
I don't know. If it
I don't
doesn't
know.
win and Wicked wins, I mean, like, what would it be? I don't know. Choice television. So Shogun, 5 nominations. Days after Tatenobu Sano wins at the Golden Globes, he's here as a SAG nominee in the actor category. Double
You
Shogun,
love
an
to see
actor.
it.
Love it
Love to
so
see it.
much. I was so psyched for him. Is this a record of SAG nom? I couldn't. In my googling Joyce and rushing through, I couldn't find this.
How dare you forget Succession?
How many did Succession have? Six.
Last year,
How many did they have last
they
year?
had three in
Three acting.
actor. That's Sarah and an
Yes.
ensemble.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but no. So SAG TV. I was like dying because like months ago, I think in like September, I had Nicola Coughlan in my actress picks because I was just like, I don't know. And like Bridgerton was big this season, and so I just put her in there and like Netflix, and season one was nominated. as well, and for RJP as well. And then I dropped her over the couple months. And then when I was like updating yesterday, I saw her there again, like similar to Pam, but I felt more with like Nicola than with like Pam, and I didn't put her in, so I was like, I could if I just didn't change anything, I could have had her. Not the complete category because I didn't have Allison Janney back then, but I called AJ. Remember AJ?
You
Like
had her
Sally
in.
Field.
Yep, you knew that. That was
Just
pretty
like
good.
Sally Field,
Uh,
the guest star getting in.
I would say the one thing I watching these nominations I was thinking was like, man, I'm always like, you can never underestimate the power of Netflix with SAG. Obviously, like Diplomat, I think had three nominations or three, right? Ensemble and then the double actress nominations.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, while all that's being said, I was shocked that Nobody Wants This missed the ensemble comedy ensemble nominations list because I was like, I just figured it would get in. Like they love Netflix so much, and they obviously love the show because Kristen Bell and Adam Brody both got individual nominations.
So comedy ensemble was Abbott, The Bear, Hacks, Only Murders, and Shrinking. So Shrinking was the one who got
Yes.
in over Nobody Wants This. Drama ensemble was Bridgerton. Day of the Jackal, love to see it. The
Amazing.
Diplomat, Shogun, and Slow Horses. And I think Shrinking, I also thought about putting Shrinking in yesterday, but I didn't know what to drop. And I was actually going to drop Abbott instead of Nobody Wants This. Actually, I
It's
didn't even
funny.
think about dropping Nobody Wants This.
I didn't
I
even
thought
think
about
of it
dropping
either.
Abbott for Shrinking, and I didn't do it because I was like, no, Abbott is still a great
I dropped Only
ensemble.
Murders for it.
And like, it's like it's so broad and easy to watch, so I just kept it. But I think it kind of makes sense to me that Shrinking got in, even though I haven't seen season two, but everything I've heard about season two is like way better use of ensemble this season. And they've been campaigning a lot. So I guess like I'm not surprised it got in.
I
There.
had dropped Only Murders for Shrinking. So because I actually thought Nobody Wants This could maybe even win, as stupid as that is. And it just seemed like so SAG, obviously SAG bait, but I guess not. And Only Murders, I think, was like that was like the legacy show, I guess. And Nobody Wants This a new show. Maybe they kind of got used to it. Harrison Ford also got in for Shrinking
Yeah,
as an
Harrison got
individual
in
nominee.
over Jason
Jason
Segel.
Segel, which is funny, but deserved. Honestly, he's very good in this second season, and I think like we said, that show is ending at the right time. The second season ended at the right time, and there you go. So that's the ensemble nominees. The individual nominees, Joyce, were hilarious as well. TV limited, a TV movie limited series was Javier Bardem, Colin Farrell, Richard Gadd, Kevin Kline, and Andrew Scott. So
This is so funny because when they announced, obviously the live announcement was canceled today
yes,
because of the wildfire. So if you're in LA, stay safe.
yes,
But Joey King and Cooper Koch were supposed to announce them, and I was like, oh, great for Cooper. Like they'll like do a whole thing like, oh, and you like you're nominated, and he wasn't nominated. And
no,
then yesterday, I actually dropped Kevin Kline for Javier Bardem, so that was a wash for me.
nice, that's good. Um, this was my favorite nomination of the whole day, I would say, in actress in a movie or limited series. Kathy Bates for The Great Lillian Hall. Not Jessica Lange, Kathy Bates for The Great Lillian Hall. A double nominee because she's also nominated for Matlock. Joyce?
That was great. Also a tie in this category because there are 6 nominees. So it's Kathy Bates, Kate Blanchett for Disclaimer, Jodie Foster for True Detective, Lily Gladstone for our fave, Under the Bridge.
Again, Lily Gladstone is the Jamie Lee
Lily,
Curtis of this TV section. I feel like the winner coming back.
and then Jessica Gunning for
Yes.
Baby Reindeer, and Krista Milioti, your fave, for The Penguin.
Yes.
So, but yeah, Kathy Bates gets in over the actress playing the titular role.
The Great Lillian Hall was not great enough for a SAG Award nomination.
I think that so like the TV nom-com, just Kathy Bates stands.
Biggest Kathy Bates stands.
Yeah.
Is she the only double nominee as an individual here?
In TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, and then male actor in a drama, Tadanobu Asano, Jeff Bridges for The Old Man, who I dropped yesterday too, to put in, well, I'll tell you after this. Jeff Bridges, Gary Oldman, Eddie Redmayne, and Hiroyuki Sanada. So I was like, I gotta get my guy Eddie in there
Nice.
yesterday. So I got him in there. I dropped Jeff Bridges. That was a wash. And then I had Lee Jung Jae for Squid Game.
Right.
And then I was like, I don't think I was like, I think maybe the ensemble could get in, so I kept it in ensemble. I was like, I don't think he would get in, so I dropped him and I put in Billy Bob Thornton.
I
For
mean,
Batman.
I had Billy Bob in, and I had Jake Gyllenhaal and Donald Glover. Clearly, the older shows not the faves, I guess, in some of these cases, or maybe presumed innocent they just didn't care about.
No,
Obviously,
so I never had Donald from the start here, or not from the start, but I didn't have Donald 2 weeks ago, basically. And then I'll tell you what I did. So in female actor, it's Kathy Bates, Nicola, Allison Janney, Kerry Russell, and SY. So I did have Maya Erskine for Mr. and Mrs. Smith here, like 2 weeks ago. But then yesterday, after DGA TV nominations and Mr. and Mrs. Smith was blanked, I was like, I don't think. I was like, I'm gonna drop Maya basically because I already didn't have Donald because it was like a crowded category, and I was like, I'm just gonna get rid of her, and so I did, and it was like, and then they missed, but I like SAG also doesn't really go for like Amazon stuff a lot, and
Yeah.
I think you can kind of see like some tea leaves and like guild performances that SAG doesn't respond to certain things, because like with the dropout and like that also didn't do well with DGA, and then your fave Amanda Seyfried lost SAG to Jessica Chastain and couldn't complete her sweep, and then like last year like Daisy Jones they didn't go for either, which you would think they would,
Right.
but they didn't. So
Interesting. You mentioned comedy series actors Adam Brody, Ted Danson, Harrison Ford, Martin Short, and Jeremy Allen White. So Marty gets in, but not Steve, and not Jason Segel.
yeah, and I didn't have either of them. I did not have either of the Martins.
Me neither.
But
Me neither.
yeah, so I had Jason instead of Harrison.
Yep.
So
And then actress in a comedy was Kristen Bell, Quinta Brunson, Liza Colon-Zayas, Io Debris, and Jean Smart. This feels like the most chalk of the acting categories.
I mean, unless you change, we both got 5 out of 5 for this because
Let
we
me
both
look.
put in Liza. We both put in Liza.
I'm hoping I didn't change because I don't remember what I even did here. Let's see. No, I have that 5 for 5. Yeah, good for us. Way to go, us. Good for us, past selves.
We put in Liza.
Yeah. I had 3 for 5 in actor because I had Eben Moss Backrack in for The Bear. The Bear.
I did too.
So the Shogun had 5 nominations. The Bear had 4 nominations. Pretty solid. Diplomat 3 nominations. Joyce.
Yeah. Diplomat like having a really good guild showing so far too. It made DGA yesterday, where Shogun got 3 slots. So, and it'll probably hit WGA and PGA.
Yeah,
as
good
well.
data points for the Emmy cycle coming up.
Yeah, I don't know about like winners here. Like we had the same issue at the Globes of comedy actor. It's like who's gonna win this category? It's like is it gonna be Jeremy again?
I think it is. I'll tell you right now. I'll have Jeremy winning this again. I'll have Gene and Hacks winning ensemble. Probably Anna and the Shogun sweep, right? Anna, Hiroyuki, and
Shogun would sweep. Yeah, I was talking about comedy, not drama,
right.
I was like,
yeah, and even limited. I guess in limited, Colin Farrell probably, and then maybe Jodie.
Let me do Jodie
over Jessica Gunning. Though I think Jessica Gunning could win. People really love her, and like it just feels like a SAG kind of performance. I think. So
I think it could be like when people thought Elizabeth Moss was going to win for Top of the Lake, and then they went with Helen Mirren. I was going to say Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
They like their veterans.
They do
at SAG. So.
And everybody loves Jodie Foster.
Yes. I think also this kind of shows that even though, because the Bear yesterday also got 3 slots at DJ, which I don't think is that surprising either, because it's such a directed show.
Mm-hmm.
And it did have a lot of flashy episodes in season 3, but I think like it's good showing yesterday, and now here too with the slot for Liza in their single category as a supporting actress. Shows like the industry does not hate season 3 as much as like some viewers might.
And
And I don't think like season 3 is bad. Like I just think it's
no.
like the worst one yet,
Here's what I would say about this in terms of the Emmys. We'll have a lot of time to talk about this, Joyce, in the next 8 months, basically. But I would say, like, if Bear season 4 is like awesome, then it could still do really well. You know what I mean? Like, I think this show, like, it's gonna be fine. I just think it'll be fine.
Yeah, like I was never
for
like
season 3.
I was never thinking like the Bear was gonna get blanked for season 3. It might get the fewer nominations, but I think it shows like it's still win competitive in a
Like
lot
if
of
like
these
we said, like
categories.
if Hacks season 4 when it comes back is not as good as season 3, let's say, which I have a hard time believing because I think it's going to be even better, and the Bear season 4 is great, then when you get to the Emmys next fall, I think the Bear could actually win again for season 3, even though it'll be like for season 4, right? Because like I think that's how they're thinking of it anyway, right? Like that kind of thing. So,
But I
don't
think
know.
like Hax's Emmy win over it just says a lot about just how strong and beloved the show and season 3 was. So like, because like all the like before Catherine O'Hara read Hacks, like all the signs were pointing to another Bear
Yes,
win,
yes,
and it lost. So it really does kind of feel like, how did Hacks win? Like is it just like the Bear's not a comedy thing, or like the season 3 backlash? But now it's like, or the guilds at least, like they clearly are not like over the Bear, right? I don't know if that's also like laziness and then like apathy towards like other nominees and like contenders too, because they can be lazy as well.
yeah.
But yeah, like I could also see like the Emmy winners this year just being kind of a copy paste
Yeah.
from last year. And then like we've said before with after season 3 of the Bear premiere that like Jeremy like might start losing awards, but we didn't consider his competition or the lack thereof.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be losing any of these. Anything else, Joyce, before we wrap up here on our SAG Awards live show?
DGA later today. Oh my gosh.
Yes, can't wait.
For
What do
film.
you? This is immediately obsolete. But what are you expecting from DGA?
The top 3, obviously, of Brady, Crabbe, Jacques Audiard, and Sean Baker.
Yes.
I think Edward Berger can get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last slot, I think, could really be anyone. Like I could see Denis getting in and not getting at the Oscars, obviously. Corley
Yep.
or John for Wicked even. I think I would put John lower. I don't know.
I kind of
Watch
think
him
John
get in
might.
now.
I think I actually think I'm gonna. I'll say this on the record here, so we can laugh about this on Friday when we're back. But I think John is gonna get that 5th slot. I don't think he'll get at the Oscars, but it just feels like so like the most populist thing, and like we've seen, they love pop. They top because Joseph Kosinski, Greta Gerwig, and I think John will get in here. And I think the other 4, like you said, I think Edward Berger is probably okay too. And the top 3. So that would be my 4. I don't think Denny maybe gets in 2, and then maybe he jumps out one of those other guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in real. You and I will talk about this in like a couple hours. But if you're watching this, thanks for watching. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. We'd love the emails. We haven't gotten to a lot of them lately. We'll be back on the mailbag train soon. I loved all the comments in the chat. You guys were fantastic. And Joyce will be back on Friday with another one of these live shows, I guess.
Post PGA.
And I'll try to be a little more on time.
That might also depend on what happens in LA, if there is an LA by Friday.
True.
So.
All right. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you then. All right. Bye, Joyce.